So Mona, it seems like hardly a day goes by when there's not a bit of medical research in the news and the media telling us about the latest sort of finding around health and health issues. How confident can we be that the latest bit of news that we're given is the thing that's going to sort of change our lives and last?
That's an interesting question, because that's probably my day-to-day job, what I teach the undergraduate dentists or the postgraduate students here about how can you judge how much uncertainty is around the results of the research you see, and how likely it is that it would change in a few years when new research comes out. Unfortunately, the way the news media usually represents the study, they don't give you enough information about the underlying research so you can make a judgment call. But because you have to look at the underlying study to understand the quality and the strength of it. There are new ways of trying to communicate research to improve it. And in one of my previous jobs, that was one of the things we did in Germany, trying to be quite honest and clear how certain we are about the research. The problem we had, and it's the current problem I think, with all of the communication of health information, to keep it interesting enough that it takes your attention to read it, but at the same time communicate uncertainty. Because when we are trying to communicate this is uncertain, might change, people lose interest in it because it doesn't sound as exciting as before. So it's a challenge, but there are different ways. I'm quite interested how I can find ways to communicate it better, to show people the underlying evidence and how to judge the strength of it. One tip I can give is that one of the things I'm very much involved, and a lot of researchers across the UK and internationally are involved, is to synthesize evidence in the form of a systematic review. And one of the organizations I work with is the Cogn Collaboration, who is doing it at an international level. And in this reviews, because they synthesize all the research on the topic, they are much more reliable to make those judgments. One of the other things I'm involved with, which might be of interest, is that not only to looking at what is the evidence and how to communicate it, but understand what are the important topics that really matters for the patients, but scientists are not listening and not caring about them. So I do spend a lot of time to understand how organizations, which are especially those of them that are paid with taxpayer monies, how they are making decisions, what research is important. And is there enough transparency there to question or see whether, or try to change it, or raise questions about the process and suggest new questions to it? UK is one of those countries who has shown leadership in trying, in some of these funded agencies like National Institute of Health Research, to have shown leadership in engaging a more wider stakeholder group and having more transparency in how they set the priorities. But there's still a lot of work being done, and there's a lot of work needs to be done to make it more transparent and clearer to the public how this taxpayer money is decided, where it's allocated for research, and how to ensure that the research is done that actually matters to people, and that the certain areas of research which are important wouldn't be neglected by the scientists.